Privilege to ZP, ma'am.
Yeah. You request all the members to mute them.
Dear members, kindly mute yourself for better hearing.
Yes, good evening, dear JSs and the non-JSs who are present here for this training seminar of the second webinar series of our Zone 4. As you all know, the theme for this year by our National President Anish Sir is Bridge the Gap. Yes, we being the active JSs are working together for the better communities and to make our community a more better place to live in by bridging the gap between the economic, it can be financial, it can be social, and or it can be the generation gap. As someone said rightly, effective communication is the bridge between the confusion and clarity. And even we can say that effective communication has the power to bridge any gap. And today we have an eminent faculty, Koka Prasad Garu, amongst us to deliver or to guide us how to communicate in 7 effective ways. Let us all listen to him and also make ourselves more better in the way we communicate. And this would help us to bridge the gap between anything or so here we welcome Koka Prasad Garu, today's faculty, and I also invite all the JSs and non-JSs who are present over here all over the country. I'm wishing you all the best, sir. Thank you so much, Saranya, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Rajita and Saranya, for having me here. I would like to acknowledge the presence of other JCI members here. I haven't spoken to JCI group. This is my first time I'm here in front of this JCI group. Okay, thank you so much. Before I begin, I would ask...
Excuse me, sir. We just have a pleasant task by JC Funny. Can we go ahead with the task?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, pleasant task by JC Funny, Zone Coordinator. Jesse Fanindra, are you there?
Audio
Is it audible now?
It is.
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
Funny, we can't hear you. Sorry.
Is it okay now?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. We lost you again, Funny.
Now?
Yes.
Sorry for the inconvenience. Okay, I will go on now. Okay. Yeah. Wow, what a great speaker we have here today. He is an award-winning public speaker. He teaches and conducts communication and leadership workshops, mentors and coaches speakers. Dear friends, he is the first person from the state of Qatar to win country-level contests 7 times between the years 2008 and 2016. He is also the first person from the Middle East to win the international speech contest 5 times and competing at the semi-finals of the World Championship of Public Speaking held at Canada, America, and Kuala Lumpur. He is also the ambassador of Agora Speakers International Spain for India. He is the founding president of Visakha Orators at Visakhapatnam, India. He has the rare distinction of founding several speaker clubs in India and abroad. His hobbies include public TED talks, playing tennis, reading books, and trekking. Here, I am privileged to introduce you all the brand of public speaking, Sri Koka Prasad.
Thank you. Thank you, Pani, for that wonderful introduction. I'm really thrilled to be here in front of this august crowd, JCI. Now, before I begin, I would like to ask you all, can you see me clearly and hear me clearly as well?
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We have one more pleasant task.
All right.
Pleasant task by JC Sai Sudha, our zone faculty sir, ZFC Sai Sudha.
All right.
Sai Sudha, can you hear us?
Or ask someone else to recognize.
Okay.
Video on say.
Good evening. We can't hear you, Sudha.
Madam, now am I audible?
Yes.
We recognize the presence of Zone President JCI PPP Rajita Pusam, Norm Coordinator PZP Pawan Kumar sir, today's trainer Koka Prasad sir. We recognize the presence of ZVP Chandramouli garu, GSN Varma garu, Mansandeep garu. We recognize ZD Harsha garu, Akul Manoj garu, Rupa Sundar garu, Hamshankar garu. We recognize the presence of Zone Coordinator Bhuna garu, Som Sundar garu, Krishna Bhaskar garu, and we recognize the presence of past National President Ratnam sir, PNP Ramakrishna sir, PZP Pawan Kumar sir, past Executive President Murli Mohan sir, past Zone President Manohar sir, past Zone President Bhagavan sir, past Zone President Anil sir, my entire training team and all LOM presidents and all other participants and all past, present and future leaders on the screen as of now.
Yeah, dear JCs, we also have one more past National President, Ramakrishna sir. Welcome, sir.
Over to you, Koka Prasad sir. Thank you, Sudha.
I hope all the
Yes,
formalities.
sir. All our pleasantries and tasks are over to you, sir.
All right. Yeah. This is the first time, so I didn't know your hierarchy in this system. So, right. Let's get over with it. Now, I'm so glad to be here and speak with your people, JCI members. And some of the people in the crowd I recognize. They are some of my friends in here. Hello, good evening to everybody. Now, I'm going to talk about communication skills. It's not just about 7 skills, how you're going to improve with those 7 skills that I'm going to talk about. But before that, I would be talking about communication skills on the whole. And this video today is not a quick fix. Let me tell you what I mean by not a quick fix. When I was a young boy, it was somewhere in the year 86 or somewhere around that time. Once I spotted a huge bike in town. Okay, there was a foreigner sitting and riding that bike. He traveled all the way from USA. He was touring the country. He was touring India, and then he was moving on to other countries. And I was fascinated by this site. That was the first time I had a glimpse of such a huge bike. And those were the days when there were hardly any bikes in town, especially with that configuration. 2000 or 1500 cc bikes. Okay, then that got me interested about bikes. I'll tell you a story later on about how and what I did with bikes, but that got me really fascinated about bikes. I wanted to have a bike, and I was thinking to myself, such an old guy with a huge bike like this, he's going around. I'm the young guy here. Bike should be with me. I'm going to rip this town, paint the town blue with this kind of a bike if I have. Okay, that was my dream. I wanted to buy a bike. Then really when I got to bike buy a bike like that. I own two big bikes. They were 1000cc, 1050cc, and a 900cc later on. That was in my late 40s or 40s. That's when I really could buy the dream bike I wanted to. Of course, I got the 100cc Yamaha bike when I was a young boy, but that was just the 100cc bike. But that was not my dream bike. Then over the years, I realized one thing, that everything in this world takes time to attain. There is nothing like a quick fix. When you want something in your life, it comes out of hard work and it takes its own time. There will be a stage when you will get it. There is nothing like a quick fix. And being a communicator as well is not a quick fix. There were some embarrassing moments in my life, which I would like to narrate one. Prior to coming back to India, I was working in Doha, Qatar for 20 years. I was the township secretary for Indian Society of my place, Dukan, called Dukan. And the first time they were asked me to speak and address a Basant Mela gathering at the community hall, and they asked me, I was the secretary, they asked me to give the vote of thanks. I stood in the crowd, just where I had my paper, my speech all written in front of me. I stood in the crowd, and halfway through that speech, I froze. I couldn't say a word. And they were all my colleagues too. And the next morning I had to meet them at the office. My wife was sitting in front of me and she was like, come on, say something, speak, God damn it. What are you doing? Why are you stuck? You know, she had her friends and she was so embarrassed. She swore that she would never accompany me wherever I am speaking. And whenever I'm speaking, till date, she never came to any place where I spoke. That was the embarrassing situation I had. Now let's move on. I have a PowerPoint slide here. I'm going to share it with you now. And we'll talk about it. Can you all see this slide? Now, why communication skills? Thousands of people, let's say lakhs of people, lakhs and lakhs pass out each year from universities in India. You know, the one main reason for unemployability of these people is the lack of communication skills. In the introduction today, I was introduced that I run two clubs here, two orator clubs. That's right, I do run two orator clubs. And when people come, they're young boys who just passed out from college or even experienced people who are working. When you ask them to stand up and say a few words about themselves, they can't. They just stand there like a statue. And they're frightened to even say their name. And with great difficulty, you can get them to talk. Why is it so? You know, most people, you know, they don't understand the importance of communication skills. Am I a good communicator? No. I'm still learning. It's a lifelong process. Every day, whenever I give a presentation or whenever I speak at the club, I learn from people around me, and it's a learning journey. And what do? It doesn't come easy to be a communicator or a good speaker. It comes out of great hard work. There's no quick fix. If you see this book here that I have, this is an old book. Can you see that? It's torn, and this is the diary I keep of everything I see or read or hear, a good word or a good story or a good phrase. This is where I write it. And I keep it. And whenever I have the opportunity, I run through it and I see how I could use this word. This word is so poignant it's a great metaphor that will fit my article, or this is going to fit my blog perfectly. Sometimes a right word you choose can speak volumes about anything you want to say. Instead of writing 1,000 words, one proper, rightly chosen word is good enough. That is how you communicate. Are we good communicators? We need to ask ourselves, am I a good communicator? Am I able to convince or convey something I want to tell somebody in the minimum possible words? That is why communication is important. Now, over the years, now that we're going through this crisis of being in a lockdown, now communications have become even more important. Believe it or not, now we're going to talk about on the phone, you're going to be on the line, on video call. That's how life is going to be post this COVID lockdown. There was 9/11. It changed the world in the way people traveled around the world. It changed everything. And now it's called post 9/11. Now this is going to be a post COVID lockdown where life is totally changed. And communication is going to become far more important for us. Now we have graduates in our country very good at education, very good at writing formulas, and very good talking about theory. When it comes to standing up and putting their ideas across, they're goners, believe me. Communication is a transaction, it's a process. Very people understand this. They think, I just said it, I know he heard it, and he will do it. He's going to do it. Right? Now, when you're speaking something, you're encoding it, and the listener on the other side, or in front of you, or the other side of the telephone is decoding whatever he's hearing. And he's going to give you a feedback. And people rarely understand there is noise here in between this noise. I often get calls from banks, telephone calls, and offering me loans, and I get unsolicited calls from people for various things, selling various things. The first thing that hits me is, where is it this guy talking from? Is he in a fish market? They don't understand the noise that's in the background. They're coming through with their voice. They don't understand where they heard it. They have their own slang. They have their own accent. Did the person understand the message? I need to ask and probe n number of times before I really get the message from him. Now, communication involves three major aspects, three V's, as I call it, verbal, vocal, and visual. Now, we know verbal is written communication. Now, vocal and visual, they're the two factors that influence how you communicate with people. Now, vocal, the tone, the way you speak. Now, before I go into vocal, let's go into talk about verbal. Words have power. Now, very recently on WhatsApp, there was this video about words have power. I don't know if you people have seen it. It was me, a colleague or a friend of mine, who was speaking as the world champion of public speaking. And he was talking about words have power, how words influence. Are we choosing the right words when we speak to people? Is that the exact fit of the word? Now, components of verbal communication. Now, more often than not, when I ask people, when I speak to people over the phone, hey, Shaker, how you doing today, man? On the phone, I hear words like, hey, going on, so, it's locked down. Now, people don't understand that what what you're implying by a word like that. Now, let me tell you one thing. I have people who come up and tell me that when I speak to them over the telephone, if somebody asks me how you're doing, I say brilliant, can't be better than this. And what kind of an impression that you get listening to me from the other side when I say words like this? It vibrates. It vibrates. The positivity vibrates through the phone and gets you to the other side and listen to you. Yeah, this is what I need to listen from people. Now, what are the words you use when somebody asks you how you doing? Is a question you need to ask yourself. Living and being alive today and sitting here is good enough. And that cannot be better than anything else in this world. When somebody asks you something like, how are you doing? I would say, brilliant, super, can't be better than this. You can never be better than this. Life is so wonderful. Now, these are the words I would love to hear in a relationship. Those are the words that set the relationship, set the tone of the relationship. I have a friend here who takes me along for his business meetings. And when he attends the office again without me, in the office, the people he meets, they ask him again, oh, where's your friend you brought along the other day? Where is he? And my friend usually calls from that office and hands me over the phone and says, hey, this man is asking you about you. Could say a few words, man. Now, why? I ask myself, why did that happen? When you are communicating, it's not about yourself. It's about the other person. What made the other person ask my friend to give me a call and ask me to speak to him? And he takes me on his business meetings. That should be the power of words. That should be the power of a meeting. Now here are some words that promote positivity when you speak to people. You know, words that empower you for growth, you plan. You know, let me tell you something. Over the years, I now have 2,500 people on Facebook as my friends. 2,500. It's coming to the maximum. It's closed. It's coming to the maximum now. I can't add anymore. Now I should start deleting. Now, I will ask you a question. Is there a chat facility here?
Yes, sir, there is.
All right. I will ask you a question, okay? I think you people on the chat can chat with me and answer the question. Now, I have 2,500 friends. Let's say you have 2,500 friends as well. Now, I will ask you a question you have to answer in 5 seconds. In just 5 seconds, I need an answer. Okay, the question is, it's 2 a.m. in the morning. I have an emergency. I need help. Who will you call? Be your relative. Don't name your relative. Ask this question yourself. Can you tell me whom will you call? Did you understand the question, ladies and gentlemen? It's 2 a.m. in the morning. I have an emergency. I need help. And I need to call somebody. Do you have it on your fingertips whom you're going to call? It doesn't have to be your relative. It should not be your relative. I can call my cousin. I can call my aunt. I can call. You would come up with things like that. No, that's not what I want. Do you have an answer for that? Right? Saranya?
Sir, you're not able to see the answers. There have been many who have been answering the question.
All right, let me open the chart. Yes. A friend, a friend, a friend, a friend, a friend, a friend, a friend. I don't want a friend. That's not what I want. A name. I want a name. You will call a friend. I don't want a friend. I want a name. He's going to call 108. It's an ambulance. It's an emergency. He's going to call 108. Great answer. Funny. I said it's not going to be a relative. I can call my dad. I can call my father. I can call my brother, my cousin. That's not the answer I'm looking for. A friend who can help? No, that's not what I'm asking for. Guys, a neighbor, a doctor, a friend, come on. Either you didn't get my question or you are not serious. I have 2,500 friends on my Facebook page. I said you have 2,500 friends as well. You couldn't give me a name. It's a shame. My brother, helpline. Now, okay, now retrospect this question again. I don't want to continue with that question. We have gone past that question. Now, I want you to guys think what I'm talking about. I have 2,500 friends on my Facebook. Now, I have the numbers, but do I have the quality? Do I have the quality? Do I know a name I can call at 2 a.m. in the morning if I have an issue? Think about it again. Now, that is what you need. You need a circle of friends. You need a circle of friends who can develop you, who gives you positivity around you, who build you up. They say you are the sum of 5 friends in your circle. Who are your friends? What is your growth? Who takes care of you? Who mentors you? Are your peers good enough? That's what we're discussing here, right? Think about it again later on after we finish this session about my question again. Now, communication is about listening. It's about choosing your words, positive words. I'm talking about positive words. Now, you need to ask yourself about this question. Who is really building me? Who am I associating myself with? Learning to be assertive. Learning to be assertive. Assertive is saying something so that people will listen and you steadfast in what you want. Now, negative words. I don't have problems in my life. Can you believe that? Did you hear it wrong when I say that? I don't have problems in my life. I only have challenges in my life. I never use the word problems because I only have challenges in my life. And when you take up and change everything that's coming up, everything, it's going to be a challenge in your life. That's when you will make that change. That's when you will change. I have a challenge. I have this is something I need to solve. That's when you'll be a changed man. There are no negative words in my life. I never use these words. Now we move on to vocal. Now, a tone of your voice sets and changes many things around you. Like I said, when I say hello in the morning to somebody on the phone, and if they listen to me, that will probably change the way they think. That day, it might change their life or their morning, their evening. Now, we'll read these 3 sentences and stress on the bold word in each sentence and the meaning of this. Each sentence changes every time you stress on a word. I didn't say you were stupid, and it's somebody else said it. I didn't say you were stupid. I said somebody was stupid, but I didn't say you were stupid. I didn't say you were stupid. I didn't say you were stupid here means I didn't use the word stupid, but I said something else similar to stupid, right? So the tone of the voice, are you taking care of how you use your tone and voice? Does your voice bring out emotion? Does it bring out laughter? Does it bring out happiness to people? Moving on to components of vocal. Now, these are the things that influence how you communicate with people. Now, the pitch and the volume, the annotation, the clarity, the tone, the use of pauses. Now, pauses are magical. I've been speaking for a long time on the stage, and when I use pauses, it makes a drastic change. Do you know what happened yesterday? My grandmother died. That's a pause. And rate of speech, you hear about the rate of speech where most of you have heard cricket commentary, and those were the days when we didn't have TVs, we heard it over the radio. People would bring out speed and excitement on the cricket match directly to you in the comfort of your home. How would they do it? That's the rate of speech. Gavaskar hits a 6 and there it goes on the boundary. That is the knockout hit. And India wins. That is the excitement. That's the vocal. Are you using your voice to bring out emotion? Are you enunciating it? Now, these are some of the aspects of verbal communication, non-verbal communication. How is your voice warm, sweet, or tone, or upbeat? These are part of the verbal components. I've just illustrated a few earlier. Now we move on to non-verbal communication. Saranya?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you should give me a heads up on the time, at least 10 minutes before closing.
Definitely, I'll do that, sir.
Thank you. Non-verbal communication. Now, how do you use your body? Your body speaks too. When you're in person, when you're on screen, as I am talking with the 97 participants here today in this room, my body speaks. And majority of what I'm communicating is done through my body. It's my body language. They say only 7% is verbal, and almost 93%. There was a study that was done in Harvard in USA, and they found out 97% or even more is through body language. Now, what does your body speak when you meet people? How did that guy, the office, remember me? Why? Was it that firm handshake that I gave? Was it the way I moved? Now, what influences body? Let's look at this chart here. Was it the way I was talking? Was it the way my voice? Was it my posture? Was it my appearance? My head, the body? Was it the way I dressed? These are all the things that influence your communications with the person. Your body is speaking all throughout. In continuation with the body language. Now let's move on to another. Now, when we speak on stage, we talk about steady eye contact, and we were taught people who don't look into your eyes and speak have something to hide. They're not sincere. They're hiding something. Do you speak to people in their eyes, making a perfect eye contact? Do you do that? How is your face? How do your gestures? How are your gestures? Are they open-handed, open palm like this, or like this, pointing out authority, or like this? People don't smile, right? Did you notice that? I hardly see people smile. I go into an elevator, I say hello to everybody in the elevator, and everybody looks up, who is this guy who just walked into the elevator and is saying hello to me? Do I know him? Right? I'll tell you one, on the street, when people cut me off with their bike or their car, I look out from my car window and just smile at him and look and just say like this and laugh. And it eases my tension. The guy also breaks into a smile and he goes away and has a great day. How many of you really smile when you meet strangers? You know, when I sometimes smile at people in the bogie or railway station or any place, you believe me, they think something is wrong with me. Why is this guy smiling? He's getting too friendly. I should be careful. Because our mama told me that don't smile at strangers. They will hide you. They will swindle you. They might rob you. And that goes on. That gets imbibed. You know, believe me, I traveled 14 countries so far. Okay, I've been to a shopping center. Every time I go into a shopping center in America or the Western countries, first thing the checkout counter lady asks, she smiles and says, "How was your day today? Did you find anything interesting? Did you get everything you wanted?" And smiles. Do we have that? Why don't we do that? And how many people really do that here? Believe me, they're so friendly. And we are taught not to smile. Don't smile at strangers. Don't be open. And more often than not, we are frightened. If we get friendly, this is going to ask me for some favors. This guy is going to rob me. We have all that feeling, the baggage we carry in the back from the things we see around us. Now, how do we communicate when we don't even smile? The basic thing, a smile radiates from a phone. If I'm calling another person, my smile passes through here and reaches the person on the other side. And that's the basic thing we don't know. And how do you expect to be a communicator? Basic thing, basic. What is your body language speaking? What is your body language talking about you? Are you biting your nails? These are some of the illustration examples of what you are communicating. Take some time to read it. I'll give you a few seconds to read it. You know, my favorite pastime when I go out, I sit at the wall at the beach sometimes near Ambika Sea Green. I buy a packet of peanuts there. The peanut guy knows me. Sometimes if I don't have change, he gives me my peanuts for free. And he says, you can give me anytime you meet, sir. And I sit there, and my favorite pastime is to watch people. And 9 out of 10 times, I have thought wrongly, and I was corrected several times about things I see around. We presume things. You know, as people walk, if somebody is biting his or her nails, what's she thinking about? What's the body language speaking? What's she trying to tell the world? What's going through her mind? Right? How is he carrying himself? How is she carrying himself? Why is she doing it? Or why is he doing it? What's happening here? It's continuous. You're communicating. Everything around you is listening, and you're communicating. And we move on to an important skill, listening. How many of us listen? Now, anytime somebody calls you, you want to say what you want to say and hang up the phone. But many times you ask yourself, how many times do we really listen? This is, you see these 2 arrows here. There was one yellow arrow going from bottom to top, and there is this arrow coming down from the most likely to lead to a change. When you go from top of the pyramid or the inverted pyramid to down, that's when the change happens. But more often than not, we go the other way. These are the levels at which we listen to people. Are we really listening? 9 out of 10 times happens with me. I forget the dates and what he said. I have to recall the person or write it down because my mind was somewhere else. Are we really listening? I'm also human. We're all humans. Right? Now here's a question for you. You are a bus driver. Okay, at the first stop, 5 people get on your bus, and the next stop, 3 people get on, 2 people get off the bus, and at the next stop, 2 people get off the bus. At the next stop, 3 people get on, and 1 person gets off. Did you listen to this? I mean, did you read it? If everybody gives me a thumbs up, I will move on to the next question. You are a bus driver, okay? And one day, as you riding the bus, 5 people get on your bus, 3 people get on later on, and 2 people get off. Next stop, 2 people get off the bus. The next stop, 3 people get on the bus, and 1 people gets off the bus. Now, my question, can you answer that? Can you type it in, please? I'm waiting for you to type it in. Do you know the answer?
So can you see the answers? People are
Yes,
answering.
I do. Yes, I do. All right. We did have some interesting answers. Yeah, we did have some interesting answers here. We do have some interesting answers here. Yeah. 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 Some of you heard me right. I said you are the bus driver, right? So it's the color of your eyes, obviously. Not many people got the answer. A few of you got it right. They were listening clearly. Now we move on to the next one, listening. Ignoring, passive listening, active listening, we all do this now, ignoring, you know. We ignore people. When you get a sales call, unsolicited call, you ignore people. You don't listen to all that thing crap is going to tell you. You're not going to buy it. Now, passive listening, I do this passive listening. Quite often I get caught with passive listening. My wife, she says, I have to go to the supermarket. You've got to go to the Moore market tomorrow. You're going to the Moore. Okay, get me this, blah, 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 blah. She gives me a big list. I'm listening because my mind is not there. I'm listening. I go to the market and I call her back and say, what was it that you wanted? Could you please send me a WhatsApp? I wasn't listening at all. How many of you really actively listen? Actively listen means you will get whatever she said or whatever your wife said. This happens to me all the time here. Because we are all engrossed in our thing, in our own world. We are never there. We are physically present, mentally absent most of the time. You know, after the mobile phones have become so popular and WhatsApp and everything, these social media has come, our attention span, I believe there was a latest study, is less than 3 seconds. That was surprising to know. Less than 3 seconds? Can't be. Our attention span is so short. 3 seconds? How many of us are an empathetic listener? Somebody who listens really and understands and nods its head. Now, providing feedback, we come into active listening. Yeah, providing feedback, elements of active listening. We're looking at elements of active listening. Now, concentrating, we don't interrupt. These are the elements which are involved in active listening. Listening for hidden messages and not jumping into conclusions. Listening for the main points, how to organize whatever you're listening to. We don't really listen these days. Think about it. A good communicator will also be a good listener. And in our meetings, we have a listening test after each meeting. We have a quiz master, a listening master, who asks us who said what in the meeting to test your listening skills. But barriers to active listening. Oops, okay. I didn't realize that we had those transitions. Now moving on, faking. We often fake our attention. We prejudging the speaker, and we presume. We try to judge people about the way they're dressed and everything and all. We're not really listening. These are the things that really influence us. Why aren't we listening? We are thinking about something. We're looking at the distractions of the person, how the way a person is dressed, what's she thinking about, what's he thinking about. Okay. And while you are physically present, you're also thinking about your home or your daughter or somebody. Not actually listening, but we need to listen, because this is a skill. It's going down and down every day. And now that the listening span or attention span has become 3 seconds, it's getting bad. Okay. continuing on the same issue, we do have, how do we deal with barriers? Now, whenever you are speaking to somebody and is giving you information on the phone, you need to identify those barriers that are impeding your message. Whether there is some commotion in the backside or the back of the ground, or is there some noise in the, this is something you need to think about, how to be a good listener. Okay. Yep. How to be a good listener. Yeah, pay attention and ask him. And look for non-verbal and verbal cues. Resist distractions. These are some of the ways you can be a good listener. Reflect upon the breaks or times in difference. Be alert. Respond. You need to think about the aspects that are influencing. It can change from place to place and person to person, or the way where you are placed. These are the, you need to identify the barriers and eliminate those barriers wherever possible to be a good communicator. Now, trust is the next and the main thing between people, and how people communicate and how people are. We are social beings, and trust is what we require. If my family or if my children don't trust me, they can never live with me. They will run away at the first opportunity they have. If my wife doesn't trust me, our relationship is ruined. Look at this statement. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and only 5 minutes to ruin it. How do we build active relationships? How do we build a trust with people? Does it really matter? If my friends can't trust me, they will never be with me. They will not give me any job. They will never speak to me again. Like I said earlier, you are a sum of 5 people around you. That's who you are. You were a sum of 5 people, close friends around you who roam around with you. You're the sum of that 5. Who are you moving with? Or do they trust you? How do you build character? Character is something you build over time. It's not something it's not something you gain overnight. It's over time. It's about how you share your feelings, how open you are. You place your confidence in somebody. I trust this person. When I say I trust this person, I can give him some of my feelings, some emotion I can share with him. I can share my life with somebody else. This is the building block. Trust is the building block of relationships, and how people communicate. It influences your communication as well with people. Now, trustworthy behavior, ability, integrity, and benevolence is something we could discuss. I will pass on this presentation. Saranya, you have a facility to email the presentation to the attendees and other participants?
Yes, sir, I can do that.
Right, okay. I don't want to read this lengthy text here. They could read it in the comfort of their house. There's nothing here. Later on, we'll move on to the next one. Moving on with trust again, this influences your communication with people and how your relationship with people around you. Now, how people will treat you. Now, we're coming to the important part of feedback. Now, when my wife makes sambar, and she puts this hot steaming sambar on the table, and if I say, oh gosh, this tastes so horrible, what would happen to me? she would say, next time you go ahead and make your own sambar, right? You don't need to eat here. You make your own food as well. That's what's going to happen. How do you give feedback to people? A good communicator also gives feedback, feed forward, or a positive feedback. You're supposed to give your honest feedback. And how do you do it? The process of handling disagreement, encourage, and assumption. Like I said, I give you an example about my wife and her cooking. Now, some of you must have heard about the sandwich model of giving feedback. Those of you who haven't, what is the sandwich model of giving feedback? Imagine a sandwich which has the top bun and the meat and the vegetable or the cheese in between, and the bun again in the bottom. The strengths, always start off with the strengths. I like now coming back to the example of my wife's sambar, if I say, oh my God, wow, this sambar smells so good. As soon as my wife puts it on the table, that's what I'm going to say. Wow, it smells delicious. I don't know if I taste it, it's going to be really great. I mean, it smells so good. The first thing. And after I taste it, let's say I taste the sambar, I'm telling her, it's so nice. I think you could add a little more pinch of salt to it, and it'll be the best sambar I had ever tasted. Overall, ma'am, your sambar making skills are superlative. I cannot believe they are over the moon. You've done a great job. If that is what I'm going to tell my wife each time she makes sambar or something, she dishes out something, how will she feel? And she's going to cook you every day, but she's going to be happy about cooking a sumptuous meal for you from then on. Now, so how do we give feedback? Do we put people down by giving our feedback? No good. You're useless. Yeah. Now, you can never get this right. You are the worst cook I have ever met. If I were to say this, it's not going to help me. So think about how you give feedback to people around you. Part of being a good communicator is being able to give proper feedback to people around you. Is it encouraging or is it demotivating? Now, there's a new concept of a new school of thought, which is called feed forward. What does feedback do and what does feed forward do? This is illustrated here. Feed forward is a process of giving feedback while a person is working on the particular item or particular subject or whatever he's doing. It's instant and you can see the difference between both here. The feedback is gone. Now the people are moving into feed forward. It's more continuous state in feed forward. Saranya, how much time do we have?
Another 15 minutes?
16, 15. Did I hear that right?
Yes, 15.
15 minutes. Okay, now we will move on to the seven innovative approaches of improving your communication skills. Okay, now what am I talking here? Now, the first thing I encourage people who are listening here or witnessing this program here is when will you move on from your peer groups and challenge yourself to joining groups without your friends. That's the first thing you need to do. Earlier, I said, who are your friends? Like I said, I have 2,500 friends on my Facebook. Who are my friends really? Now I'm planning to, I've started deleting most of them. I have every reason to delete them. They won't feel bad. They've never been interacting with me. I'll tell you something. I'll tell you a story. Earlier, I was in Toastmasters. How many of you know Toastmasters? You heard about Toastmasters? Give me a yes if you heard about Toastmasters. Type in Y. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Those 2,500 friends I made were the people who are all predominantly Toastmasters. Over the years, the past 15 years, I've been in speaking, so they hear me speaking, and they send you an friend request. That's what happened. So I, over the years, collected now. It's been a while. It's been 4 years since I quit Toastmasters. And it taught me a great lesson. It taught me and it showed me who my true friends are. Did you understand? It taught me who my friends are. When I quit Toastmasters, the people who really mattered stayed with me. The people who really knew me stayed with me. They are my friends. I call them quite often. I speak to them. I text them. I talk to them over WhatsApp and communicate with them. It taught me a great lesson. Who are your true friends? Now, when I say move out of your peer group, move out of your comfort zone, I'm implying move out of your comfort zone. You cannot sometimes practice let's say you want to practice and learn speaking skills, your English language speaking skills. Now, staying in your peer group, you cannot practice. I mean, they will laugh at you, they will ridicule you. You try and find groups outside your peer group. That's what will make you grow as a communicator. You can't try your communication skills being in that group. Try to move out. That's the first thing I tell you. Write. Take a chance to write. There is creative writing, there is blog writing. And now one other thing, a good communicator need not necessarily mean mastering a language or speaking English well. No. People mistake this. They think I cannot be a good communicator because I don't know English. I don't know Tamil, or I don't know any language. So how can I be a good communicator? A good communicator is a person who can communicate. You could use Telugu, you could use any language you are in. You were able to convey a message. That's when you're a communicator. Right. Now, the second one I try to emphasize here is try to write something. Go ahead, try. You may keep a book. Start off small. Now, one way of improving your English language skills or your speaking skills is to watch videos with or without subtitles. Try and see what the actors or the story behind what you're listening or seeing on the screen. Now, these are two words that you can easily remember. When you're speaking to somebody, keep it short and simple. Don't kill it. Don't keep it long and lengthy. That's what I mean by kill here. Speaking in short and simple sentences are easily understood than long sentences. Conversational threading. What do I mean by conversational get a chance to use conversational threading. Let's say somebody asks you, have you been to Delhi? Let's say somebody throws a question like that. Have you been to Delhi? No, I've been through Delhi, close to Agra. Agra is the best place I've been. So the question is now moved, and you have a chance to speak about Agra rather than Delhi. Now find how you can use conversational threading to have a conversation with a person or people who ask you questions. Now, this is a great way, especially when you're in interviews or talking to people or communicating or somebody asking you questions. Use conversational threading. It's easy to branch off into several subjects. You're going to talk about, somebody asks you a question about this thing, you can talk about so many branches speaking about the same thing in another way. It's like moving off in a tangent. If somebody asks you, do you know Microsoft Word? I can say Microsoft Word, I've learned Microsoft Excel, I've learned Microsoft Access, Microsoft Word occasionally. So you have a chance to talk about, oh, do you know Excel? Because you said Excel, the chap might ask you about Excel. You might move into Excel and you get a chance to speak about Excel. That's a good way to have your interviews or prepare for an interview. I bet you are an interesting person. Have a genuine idea. Have a genuine interest in people when you meet people. You don't try to be selfish. Don't try to be always interested in yourself. A good communicator will speak to you. Isn't this a beautiful day? What do you think? You look like an interesting person. Now, where are you from? You know, this is one way to have a great conversation with another person. Now, the other person listening to you will really feel elated, and you'll think, I am an interesting person. There's somebody telling me I'm an interesting person. So he was speaking about himself. That's a nice way to start a conversation. Now, a single story. Now, not everything in this world has a single story. Now, what I mean by single story here is, I will illustrate in the next slide after this, is there is no one story to anything in this world. So 9 out of 10 times I've been mistaken about this. I keep making presumptions or assumptions about a person or anything. I've been wrong several times. I ask myself, why did I make that presumption or that assumption? Why did I think she was this? Or why did I think he was this? There is no single story in this world. Now, let me tell you another example illustrating this point. Now, when the North America was first occupied by Christopher Columbus, and he went and saw the Indians, and he thought they were he went and this is India. When he went to North America and first discovered the continent, he thought this was India, and those Indians there, those red Indians, they were Indians. And that was the start of the history of America. Now, if red Indians were to write the story of discovering America or being in America, what would the story be like? It would be totally different. There is no single story. Now, I would urge you to go on the website tonight and watch this TED Talk by The Danger of a Single Story. Look up TED Talks and The Danger of a Single Story. That's the title of the TED Talk. You will find it interesting. And she's a great communicator. She talks about a single story. Now, the reason I'm talking about the single story is, don't take things as for what you see. There is far beyond what you see and what you think. Become a detective of yourself. Don't be judgmental. 9 out of 10 times we are judgmental of people. So you are from India. Indians are like this. They are Hindus. They drink. That's what the people in the West think. They pray cows. And I had a friend from South Africa visiting me. He stayed with me here at Vizag. And he was fascinated every time I drove him through the city. He saw cows on the street. He saw, oh man, he used to go clicking photographs every time I passed by. And he asked me a strange question once. He said, why are there so many slippers and shoes on the road? Every time I find one slipper, they're not in pairs, you know. He asked me a strange question. I couldn't answer that myself. I still now, it intrigues me. He says, why do we have slippers and shoes on the road? Usually there's only one slipper or one shoe lying there. And he used to take photographs of cows, buffaloes on the street, and he found it very fascinating. And the reason I'm telling you that, they think India is all about cows or people praying and we having thousands of gods and goddesses. Now, ask yourself, why am I thinking the way I am thinking each time you try to be judgmental about a person? Is it the way he look? Is it the way he's acting? Why am I being so judgmental that I made up my impression before even the person speaks to me? Become a detective of yourself. Ask yourself, why are you doing what you are doing? You know, why did I make that assumption and presumption? Continue to strive to be a brilliant communicator. You strive. There is no end to it. You know, everything takes time. It's like my motorbike. You know, when I was young, I wanted this bike so much, and then I realized that everything takes time in this world. Aim for the moon, and if you miss it, you will land among the stars. Be a star. Over to you, Saranya. That's all for me. Saranya.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. That was a wonderful session. You taught us that words have power and that smile is an effective communication tool. And the sandwich technique for giving feedback is something new that we learned today. And the conversational threading, that was also a takeaway point for us today. Thank you so much. On the whole, it was a wonderful session, sir.
Thank you.
We would definitely go up and look at the TED Talk of the Picture of a Single Story. Privilege to ZB ma'am. Over to you, ZB ma'am.
Yeah, dear JSS, first let us thank our trainer for the today session, Koka Prasad. Sir, thank you so much, sir. It was very informative and we have learned many new things from your session.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us all the inputs, and we are very obliged to have you here today. And in fact, it was a very we had many new points to be learned. As JCA also concentrates on effective public speaking, this topic was really helpful for all our JCs and the non-JCs present over today. Yes, we have many non-JCs present over today, and for them, I can say that JCI is the only organization which concentrates on the individual development of and where you can always be better in any way or in any way. And I also can say this JCI is the age group between the 18 to 40 years of young citizens. Dear members, if you also want to join the JCI movement, you can also join JCI. JCI is an organization with 100 years of history over 104 countries. Dear members, during this pandemic situation, the JCs have taken this initiative to organize this webinar series to bridge the gap. Yes, I think today we have bridged the gap between the confusion and clarity with the inputs given by our trainer. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you, Saranya, for giving me this privilege and opportunity.
Dear
Thank you.
participants, you're welcome to ask any questions. Our trainer is ready to answer your questions. You can raise your hand and you would be unmuted if you have any questions. Or you can type in the chat box. I request PZP PPP Rahul sir to give his valuable feedback. Rahul sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. This is a fantastic session and a very, very informative session. Thank you very much, Zone Director Training and Zone President, for organizing this wonderful series, especially this today's session from Koka Prasad sir. That was very enlightening session, and these inputs are certainly going to improve our communication. So I appreciate each member who participated and made the most out of it. Once again, on behalf of Zone 4, thank you very much, Koka Prasad sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Can I?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. This is Jeevan Jyoti Vola. The session was very crisp, to the point, and had a great experience of getting knowledge from you. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. Can you elaborate the sandwich technique once again?
Right. Anytime you're giving feedback to a person anywhere in the world, anytime, anywhere, you always try to give one good, something to improve, and a good again. Got it again? One good point. It's something you like about whatever he did. It's cooking or what he wrote well. You say you've written it so brilliantly. I like these words. I like what you wrote here. But look at this particular thing. I think you could improve on this particular thing. The grammar here, maybe you could learn a little more. But overall, I love the way you're writing, and I really encourage you to write a little more. That's what the sandwich method is.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
I request our past national president, Ratnam sir, to give his feedback.
Thank you, Saranya. Mr. Koka Prasad has very neatly dealt with the entire session, taking us smoothly from the beginning to the end, explaining all the points with clarity. I liked his lovely voice, rich voice, which was gripping right from the beginning to the end of the entire session.
Thank you.
And you're a treat, Mr. Koka Prasad. Everybody, I think, enjoyed the session very well.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Saranya.
Thank you so much, sir. So we have another question from the participant.
Yes.
How do we definitely give positive feedback, but how do we tell about improvement?
Yeah, like I said, if I could give the example about my wife dishing out sambar and putting it in front of me, I would say this sambar smells brilliant. You know, it's nothing like this sambar, the way, the aroma of it. After I taste it, if there's a little salt, deficiency of a little salt, I would say, yeah, you would really scale it up. If you were to add a little more salt, that would be the ultimate, and I would get her to put a little more salt. And now taste it, it's really the best sambar I ever tasted. You've done a great job, man. That's how I would do it. Right. I'm a student studying in UK. I'm having problems to have good communication like the locals and comprehend. Okay, I don't know if you folks here have heard about an app, a mobile app called Cambly. All right. Let me see if I can share a screen where I can search it out for you. There is an app. Okay, quickly let me tell you what is Cambly. It's an app where you have tutors waiting online whom you can speak to. They will correct the way you're talking. They will correct your grammar. You can start off being a non-paid member sometime, and then later on start paying the subscription, or there is a small fee you need to pay, and you can reach out to people all over the world. There are English tutors who will speak with you. You can just pick up the phone and start speaking to them. You say, how is my conversation? Or you talk about the weather, and they will start correcting you. They will say, what's your language? And they will, that's one way to improve your English for that student in UK. Try it out. It's called Cambly.
Could you spell out Cambly? It is.
Yeah, somebody has already got it in there. Cambly. Yeah, that's a good app to learn. I always recommend that app. You could try it out for free and later pay for it if you want to. Yeah.
Privilege to Zone Coordinator JC Harikumar.
Thank you very much, madam. I hope everyone enjoyed this wonderful session, 7 innovative approaches to improve your communication. This is the second series of the Zone 4K Double Dhamaka web series. From the bottom of my heart, my deepest respect to the next great trainer, Indian ambassador for the Agora Speakers International Spine, and founder president of the Visakha Orators. He is none other than our today's trainer, Mr. Koka Prasad sir. Thank you very much for doing wonderful presentations, sir. And also my deepest thanks to our zone president PPP Rajita Pusarla madam for initiating this particular program, and also my special thanks to our past national presidents JC and NP Rathun sir and Ramakrishna sir also, and also my special thanks to Manohar sir and NL Bhagwan sir, past EVP Dr. Murli sir, and our advisors EJP Pawan Kumar Garu and Rahul sir, and ZBPs GSN Varma Garu, Chandramouli Garu, and Mani Sandeep Garu, ZD Hamshankar Garu, and zone coordinators Bona Garu and Jeevan Jyoti Valla Garu, and other past officers Madhubabu Garu, and Nagareddy Garu, Kaspes Nageswara Garu, and Ambika Garu, and also past, present, future leaders who are attending this Zone 4 web series. I really thank very much. And also my special thanks to today's technical support has been given to this program, our Mangesh Garu. And also my special thanks to our training team. They are putting so much efforts to making this series wonderful way. Thank you very much to each and everyone. My special thanks to our today's trainer. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Hari. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hari Garu. Privilege to our past national president, JC Ramakrishna sir, PNP Ramakrishna sir.
I don't think he's there. Yeah.
Okay.
This is Cambly, ma'am. If somebody is interested, quickly. Right. These are all the tutors on Cambly. You can select whom you want and speak to them on a daily basis, on a one-to-one basis online. Right.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you all the participants for being here. Hope you had lots of learning. Stay tuned for tomorrow's training session by JC Gampa Nageshwar Rao sir. So the topic is going to be released soon in the group. So stay tuned and see you all tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Saranya. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Madam, I am closing the meeting.
Mangesh Garu, 1 minute. Karuna, can I have a feedback from a non-JC participant also today? Karuna, are you there? Can you hear me?
This is not a biased feedback because I'm a big fan of Prasad sir. Right from the time I'm going to Vishaka Oridas with my little one, and recently I joined. I love his voice, his command over English, the way he speaks and everything. But today, apart from his baritone, apart from his voice, apart from his composure and vocabulary, I really loved the lively examples that he gave, a lot of inputs to learn. And thank you, Sharanya, Rajita, and all the JCI members for this wonderful choice of, someone to give us some knowledge during the lockdown period. It was really awesome. Thank you so much, Prasad sir. It was really a pleasure to hear you.
Thank you so much, Karuna, for your feedback, and thank you for being here. You can join us for tomorrow's session as well.
Sure. You have chosen all the speakers they're very well versed in their respective fields. I'll definitely be there every day. Thank you so much, Sharanya and Rajita.
Thank you so much, Mangesh Garu, for the technical support.
Welcome,
Please
madam.
be there with us for the rest of the sessions. Bye, and have a good day.
Okay, madam. Goodbye.